Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sherrod Show. I am your host, Sherrod. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful Monday afternoon. I know I'm so excited, ladies and gentlemen, because I have royalty on the show today. We have two iconic individuals, one that has been around for many years, making hits after hits, and she still looks like she's about 35 years old, ladies and gentlemen. And it's her first time on the Sherrod Show. The lovely Melissa Manchester. She is an icon. We're so happy to have her on. And then we have a gentleman who sang with some of the best. He sang background with some of the best, as well as with the lovely Melissa Manchester. And he's going to talk about his life, his career, and how he's adjusting to being around the upper echelon. We have the awesome Johnny Schaefer on the Sherrod Show as well. Welcome, Johnny. But before we get started, the Sherrod Show is brought to you by Pure Essence Television. You can see this episode live here on Pure Essence Television. Just look at your monitor. You can see it on Roku. You can do it on your Apple iOS device as well as your Android device. And then also if you listen or if you missed this episode, you can listen to it on iHeartRadio as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, oftentimes our lives are formed with great music. You always remember where you were when you had your first kiss, when you had your first dance, when you bought your first car and you turned on the radio. Well, I remember where I was when I first listened to Don't Cry Out Loud by Melissa Manchester, and she is on the Sherrod Show, and we're honored to have her, as well as the awesome Johnny Schaefer on the show. Welcome, you all. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm great. How are you?
I'm great as well. Johnny, are you doing okay?
I sure am.
Well, we have millions of people watching currently, and we're going to try and get to their questions as soon as possible. But first, you got to get through mine. Now, now, Melissa, you've been in the industry for many years and doing chart-topping hits, and you've just recently won a Grammy. Melissa, acquiring minds want to know, how do you continue on with that beautiful smile and cranking out hits over the years?
Well, actually, I won the Grammy a while ago. I was just awarded, however, an award from the American Songbook Foundation, and that was really thrilling. I have had a very unusual life to be able to make a living by being an artist, which means you're making a living by living your life. And it's been grand. And it's not for the faint of heart, however, but I've learned many lessons along the way. I've had remarkable opportunities. It's really a journey. Life is all about learning, and to be at this stage in my life and to be able to create such beautiful art with Johnny and be a part of his beautiful ride is just unexpected and unbelievable. It's beautiful.
Well, you know, Johnny, I know it gives you chills to work with such an awesome young lady. As we were speaking off camera, how you just was so tickled that she accepted. Now, what is it like, in your own words, working with such an iconic individual?
Well, I've gotten to see Melissa, especially through her music, working with my husband on her music videos for a long time, and kind of be around I always wondered about her creative process. And because I've been listening to her since I was a teenager. And so I had a lot of, ideas on my mind about what it was like. And so it's been really wonderful. And when she came into the studio with this vivacious, wonderful, loving energy in the recording studio, it was a dream come true. That recording session was magical for me. And to be able to just kind of hear someone else singing my song, let alone my all-time favorite singer, was really, I can't even describe the thrill it was for me.
Yeah, since we've had those parallel experiences, I can confirm that to hear somebody else singing your song is completely an out-of-body experience.
Oh my goodness, wow, that's incredible. Well, you know, Melissa, just to give the audience a kind of capsule of what it was like with your music and what the competition you were going up against back in the 70s, when you were listening to easy music, listening like I was listening to, there was Melissa Manchester that came on. But right after her or before, there was Barbra Streisand, there was the Carpenters, there was 3 Degrees, Kenny Rogers, and so on and so forth. But yet you were lined up and hitting a home run right after those as well, when it was some stiff competition. So how were you able to stay so relevant then and still now?
Oh, that is a lovely question. Thank you. Um, when I was starting, it was such a golden age of pop music, particularly on radio, because American popular song was being infused with a new sensibility because of Stevie Wonder, because of Sly and the Family Stone, because of Joni Mitchell and the Beatles and the Beach Boys and James Taylor. The American popular song went from Moon June Spoon to lots of psychology, lots of metaphor, lots of anthems, lots of self-affirmation, lots of breaking through restrictive barriers. And it was happening on the radio. It was unbelievable. So, and when I first came up for Midnight Blue, it was right before radio across the United States went computerized. Radio then was still disc jockey driven. It was still caller choice driven. And right after Midnight Blue hit, then there was a central computer company that started programming everything. So if you were in, Dubuque, it was the same music as in Detroit. I mean, it was just, it just really, it was difficult to make sense of it. However, to jump fast forward right now, what keeps me going to make my narrative as authentic as possible is now we're in the golden age of independent artists. I'm no longer signed to any other record company other than my own. My platform is wherever there's a platform. When I have my name as executive producer and I'm in there arranging and co-creating it on all levels, it's a reflection of where I am in my life, and it's unbelievable. It's also code word for you have to do 4 times the amount of things yourself. But be that as it may, it's a fantastic moment to be an artist.
So now I'm going to kick it to you, Johnny, for a question. Now, Johnny, when you got the go that Melissa Manchester, the Melissa Manchester, there's a lot of phonies out there, but the Melissa Manchester was going to work with you, and she was headed to the studio, and you have not seen her yet. Tell us about the butterflies in your stomach, Johnny.
I knew maybe I was like maybe a couple of weeks before it happened that it was going to happen, and so I was kind of fantasizing about what the session would be like, and it was even better than I dreamed. There's a little kind of a teaser reel that we made where you see a little bit of the session where we were kind of recording, and you see Melissa in the booth, and we talk a little bit about that. That video is on YouTube, or it's on my website, hearjohnny.com. And so you see a little of the session. It was just, it was joy. It was just joy.
It was a love fest. By the way, I must add that when Johnny first sent me this track, I responded that it was fantastic, and it didn't really need to be a duet. I mean, he created a complete world. And he said, no, please sing on this. So I said, yeah, sure. And it was fantastic. I mean, he created such a unique recording. He created not only a duet, but he created a Greek chorus commenting on the 2 primary singers. It's unbelievable. There are 50 tracks of singers. It's wild.
Well, it's safe to say you're being modest, Johnny, in your accomplishments, being a musical genius.
But I tell you,
the likes of Mrs. Manchester. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who just joined us, we're talking to the iconic Melissa Manchester, as well as the genius himself, Mr. Johnny Schaefer, on the Sherrod Show. We'll be taking your questions momentarily as well. Now, Melissa, when the new generation listens to your music and you're reintroducing your music to the new generation, how are they receiving it, and are you liking the response?
Well, I think it's lovely because a lot of my listeners have grown with me. When I started out, I was college age, so were they. So now we've all grown deeply into our lives, but that they would share my music with their kids. It's beautiful. It's beautiful that these songs live on, because you just never know what's going to happen with a song, but to serenade somebody in their, either through their time of need, or to celebrate, I don't know, a wedding, an engagement, a decision to make a baby. It's just unbelievable. And so songs really do capture moments in your life, besides having the power to galvanize a nation, songs really are worlds of their own. So yeah, it's been great.
You know, it's amazing to me when you look at the staying power of songs. And I'm going to start off with you, Johnny, and I want to hear Ms. Manchester's feedback as well. Why do you think songs from yesteryear, you listen to the Motowns, like my 9-year-old daughter, I can just pop in some Sam Cooke, and then she'll be just moving to Sam Cooke as if it's 1964 again, not knowing that it's way back then. But why is it the songs of yesteryear have such staying power opposed to, it seems like, the newer songs of today?
Well, from my perspective, when you talk about the influence on someone's life, I grew up in a small conservative town, gay, and I was a preacher's kid. And Melissa's songs were kind of a beacon of light for me. They helped me navigate all of that. And I meet so many LGBTQ people who had the same experience with her music. And it's kind of cool because yesterday we became #1 on the Q Review LGBTQ music review. And in addition to being #1 on smoothjazz.com. So it's kind of a, we're hitting different audiences. But to your question, the lyrics seem to have been so much more important, and melody seemed so much more important in prior years than right now. It's more rhythm driven, and it's like when I'm in some songwriting groups on Facebook, and a lot of them talk about, oh, I got my beats, and you want to write to my beats, and I just do not write that way. It's the lyrics and the melody that come first, and then you add in all the production later. And so for me, the essence of the song is always the harmonies too, but the lyrics and the melody and then the way it's put together. But it starts with the lyrics and melody for me.
Right.
And what about you?
To answer your question specifically, why do certain songs remain? Everything from, the golden age of American popular songwriting started with the Gershwins and Cole Porter and Irving Berlin, through Motown, through Smokey Robinson, through Holland Dozier Holland, through Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff. The thing is, if you took away all of the arrangements, the great players, if you just sang all of those songs just with a pretty good singer and a piano or a guitar, these were magnificent compositions, solid points of views, exquisitely rendered melodies. Nothing was an afterthought. Everything was chiseled, and everybody was learning from everybody else. From the 30s to the 60s, standards that everybody was singing came from Broadway stages. And when Motown and that sound was created, and when the Philadelphia sound was created, those were solid compositions. Everybody was learning from everybody else. Everybody was listening to Nat Cole. Everybody had listened to the Mills Brothers. I mean, everybody had listened to Billie Holiday. These were singers who not only had songs written for them, but they were also composing their own remarkable observations of the world around them. I mean, they were stunning.
It's amazing you say that, because I've had the Isley Brothers on the show, as well as the Dramatics and the Dales, and they say the same thing in terms of that. For example, when you're speaking to a generation, I love songs personally that are talking to the ladies instead of about them. When you could, for example, when Daz Band was on the show, they said if there was a gentleman who could not find the right words to say to the lady, he just put on a record and then call her up and let it play. And those are the things that the songs of yesteryear you do. Now, it's some great artists of today. Don't you agree, Johnny, as well?
Yes, absolutely.
But the thing is, like you were saying, Melissa, it was just great music. If you took away everything else, it just made sense in terms of that. So, and that's it. And Melissa, when you speak about your Don't Cry Out Loud, it's telling a wonderful story about having confidence and to be and not, baby, when the circus came to town. Okay, don't get me started now, because I'll sing it in a minute. I'll sing it in a minute. I promise you, John. Don't laugh. I'll sing it. But it's just a wonderful song. And I remember listening to it when I was in 3rd grade, and it meant so much to me in a 3rd grade mind. What are your thoughts on that, John?
You know, I think I heard "Don't Cry Out Loud" first when I was driving home from visiting in the snow, and I was up in the mountains, and I can still picture the fog over the mountains and everything. So like when you hear a song that really impacts you, it actually registers in your mind, because you mentioned that you remember your first time too, and so I just think that the power of music to be a part of the soundtrack of our life is one of the key things for me. It's one of the most important things in my life.
Mm-hmm. Now, Melissa, and before that, we're gonna take your questions in a moment. I see it, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, I'll get to your questions as well. And I can't wait to ask you. Now, Melissa, where were you when you first heard "Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me" by Mel Carter?
I was probably in my parents' living room. You know, it was on the radio. It was just beautiful. It's beautiful.
Now, you remember, of course, you remember 78s and you remember 45s, correct? Mm-hmm. Now, they had a sound that is so unique that's coming back. As a matter of fact, Amazon sells record players and they're selling out. They can't stay on the shelf because people want to recreate that sound from back in the 60s and the 70s, because some records and some songs just sound better to me with the crackling, and then they come on with the album.
Right, because what the crackling is capturing is the ambient sound of the room. You're hearing the actual mouth noises. You're actually hearing the breathing, and it warms the tone. I mean, what happened, you know, with recording, we got so busy being pro-tooled and perfected, you knock the soul out of the performance. When you listen to Ella Fitzgerald, that's how she sounded the second she sang into that mic. There was no futzing with anything. That's exactly how she also sounded on the stage and in the studio. And that was true for Lady Day, and that was true for Tony Bennett and Nat Cole, any of them, and Sinatra. I mean, that's it. That's what they sounded like. It was, wow. It was magic.
That is absolutely magical. Now, Melissa, you actually was on a song with Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder accompanied you in one of your songs. Is that correct? What song was that?
Yes, he did. On my 20th album called "You Gotta Love the Life." You know, there was no divine design that I was aware of, but I was working in Florida and I get a phone call at 2 a.m, which is never a good idea. And I pick it up and I hear, "Melissa, this is Stevie. I hear you making an album. Can I play on it?" So I came back to California where I was recording, and he recorded harmonica, beautiful, brilliant playing on a song that I wrote with Tom Snow called "Your Love Is All I Need." And he was so magnificent. He showed up, besides his driver and his handler and his nutritionist and his press guy, he had boxes of harmonicas. And he just kept playing and playing and playing and trying out different things. And he kept saying, "No, I can do better. Let me try it again." I mean, he played enough for 2 albums. It was just unbelievable. He was so generous and so brilliantly talented. You could just hear the ideas through those harmonicas, and his playing is just stunning.
Wow. Melissa, now, are you planning on coming out with a book to be able to catch and this capture of history? This would do me well. I'm a big reader, and this would be great to be able to have this portal of history in my hands.
Well, you're not the first who has asked me, and thank you very much. I don't know. I started, and I probably need help getting through it, because it just seems like a big lift because I don't want it to be, and then I met, and then I wrote, and then I met. That's not the important part of my journey. Is what I've learned. I mean, what I've experienced is interesting, but what I've learned, I think, might be interesting as well. But thank you for asking.
Very good. Now, Johnny, we have fans calling for an album from you. When is your album coming out, Johnny?
Well, I have 2 albums that you can get on all the streaming services. One is a Christmas album. It's called "From Here to Nativity," and it's a journey from Advent through Christmas. and then onto Epiphany. So it's meant to be like a journey that you listen to from start to finish. It was kind of interesting because there was this just last week, I think Adele, told Spotify, please stop the shuffle thing, because a lot of us put a lot of thought into our albums, how we arrange them, and then people shuffle them and they listen to them out of context. And so, like, for me, particularly with my Christmas album, there was a lot of thought that went into the order of it. I've been recording singles because everyone said that's what you should do now in the streaming time, but I really like Melissa's idea of releasing the singles that culminate in an album, because I've been writing so much that now I feel like I'm starting to see connections between the songs, and I'm feeling an album coming. So I think that I'm moving now toward an album that will be a collection of these singles I'm doing.
Very good, very good. And then what about you, Melissa? I'm hearing that you are re-releasing and re-recording your new music for the newer generation, and your past songs as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I've started a project called Review, and I have re-recorded several of my charted hits with some harmonic tweaks. But what I'm doing, that started during the height of the pandemic, because where were we going? I would release a single and an accompanying video per month. So far I've released 6, so I have 4 more to go. The thing that I did not see coming is that these songs written and recorded so long ago have grown into this moment. And so when Review is released as an album, you will be able to see through the videos what we have come through from the depth of the pandemic and beyond. So it's been really, and Paco, Johnny's husband, has been instrumental in helping me tell that story.
Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our questions. Our audience are lining up for questions for our guests. The first one is for you, Johnny. This question is, when you first met Melissa, what were your thoughts and how were you able to manage meeting such an icon? Oh, great question.
The first time I met her was many years ago when I did a recording at her house for a musical. It was a demo of 2 songs. And so she greeted me she was wearing puppy dog slippers. She had just come back from New York because she had done a soundtrack for Lady and the Tramp 2. And she had just recorded that. And then I was there to record two songs for a demo, and for a musical. And so I didn't realize until the day before that it was Melissa, because my voice teacher, Wendy, had given me, there's somebody who wants you to sing a demo, and she didn't want me to freak out. So she waited till the last minute. And so Melissa cooked dinner, and I was so nervous that when I was sitting there, she handed me the chicken first because I was the guest. And I tried to cut it, and finally she says, "Oh, here, let me help you," because there was this little mangled pile of chicken on the plate. And I just was too nervous. So yeah, it's been an adjustment for me going from, ogling fan to working with her on a different level. And she's been so gracious and patient to allow me to get through that process, because it's just amazing to be around someone that at one point I just wanted to meet. I used to I always had to sit in the nosebleed section at her concerts, and I would just say, "Oh, please, I want to meet her someday." So this is just beyond.
Yes, how lovely.
That's awesome. And incidentally, that question is from Ryan from Naperville, Illinois. Thank you for that question, Ryan, as well. This question is for you, Melissa. This is from Bertha. She is from Raleigh, North Carolina. She said it is such an honor for Sherrod having you on the show. I think this is one of his best guests and interviews yet. I would agree. Her question to you is, what has kept you smiling in the industry? As you were just mentioning, it's not for the faint of heart. How are you able to still be able to push through in spite of? Very good question.
That is a wonderful question. Well, I have been doing this almost 50 years. So I went from the conventional wisdom of signing with a great big record company who would act as your bank and give you permission to express yourself. And there was a great benefit from that, because it was great to have a great big engine to help you promote your stuff on the radio and through all different media. But the record industry barely exists anymore as it was. So it was, in fact, when I was an adjunct professor at USC out here teaching at the Thornton School of Music, it was, as they say in South Pacific, by my students, I was taught. My students introduced me to the world of the independent artist. My students introduced me to the world of crowdfunding, and that was huge. And so my students literally sat my manager and I down to explain how crowdfunding works. And I said to them, if you don't start every sentence with "once upon a time," I will not understand what you're talking about. So it really was seeing the new marketplace through the eyes of my students to help me see what the new normal looked like and find the adjustment so that I could include my fans to help me fund my projects. And it was fantastic. I did that for my last two albums, You Gotta Love the Life and the Fellas. And now this new one, I'm not doing that, but I'm finding other ways to get the music out. That's the whole thing, is just to keep finding new ways to keep your narrative going. Because in the end, it's about your art. In the end, it's about keep unfolding and sharing what you see.
Great. Excellent question, Bertha. We really appreciate that. And I have time for one more question. This is from Cisco. He is from Boca Raton, Florida. He says, awesome interview. He loves the both of you all on the Sherrod Show. This question is for both of you all. His question is, first of all, where can he purchase your upcoming album, Johnny, as well as Melissa? Where can he purchase some old LPs or 8-track? I don't think you have 8-tracks, but LPs of your music. We'll start first with you, Johnny.
My website's HearJohnny, HearJohnny.com, and you can purchase my music there. It's also on places like Amazon and iTunes and Apple Music, all that stuff. So pretty much all the streaming services, and then places where you can download, nationally, or internationally. But my website has all my songs.
Very good. It's right on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Just look on your monitor and you can be able to purchase it straight from Johnny Schaefer's website as well. What about you, Melissa?
Same for me as well. It's Amazon and iTunes. You can watch my channel on YouTube, watch all the videos, lots of videos there. And when I perform, I sell my CDs because people really do want to hold something. They want to read something. They want to feel something. So it's and the fact that, I haven't re-released anything on vinyl, but vinyl has come back with a roar.
And so that's what I want from you, Melissa. I want a gold autographed vinyl from you. So I can be able to hang
Done deal.
That is exactly
done deal.
Amen. I am a mega fan, and I'm so honored to have you on. And I thank my dad and mom for allowing me to listen and allowing me to steer me in the direction of great music, because it's some of the greatest music of my life, and I'm training my daughter to be on it as well. So it's just phenomenal in terms of that. And I want to thank you all both for being on the Sherrod Show today. It's been such an honor having the iconic Melissa Manchester, as well as the genius himself, Johnny Schaefer, on the Sherrod Show. Any final thoughts, Melissa?
Thank you so much for having us. This has been a real delight. Thank you to your listeners. The questions have been wonderful, and you have been a delightful host. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you as well. Johnny, do you have any final thoughts?
Just gratitude. I'm so grateful to you for letting us do this, and to all the people that are listening. And, check out, and Melissa has a beautiful Hanukkah song, and Hanukkah just started. So it's called Let There Be More Light, another song with a light theme. So check that out too.
Oh my goodness, awesome. And then check this episode out on Pure Essence Television. You can see it on your Roku device. It's also on Amazon or Android. You can just download the app and watch the wonderful episodes of your life. And also, Melissa, Jim Gilstrap says hello.
Love you, Jim Gilstrap. Miss you.
He's an awesome sauce in himself as well. Well, join us on our next episode of the Sherrod Show. We have Mr. Joe Pesci on the Sherrod Show talking about his career and why he doesn't do mafia movies anymore. In the meantime, keep your eyes on Pure Essence Television and the Sherrod Show. And for Melissa as well as for Johnny, have a great week and take care. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.